Hello, everyone, and welcome to this interview. I am so excited to have Anukrti Upadhyay here on my channel. I have been such a fan of her books, especially Daura and Bhaunri. They are very close to my heart. So I'm really excited to have her here and have her talk to us about everything related to her writing journey, her books, everything. So welcome, Anukriti. Like I said, I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Shruti, and thank you everybody who has joined. I hope this conversation is, useful, meaningful, entertaining for you guys, enough to sort of put aside your busynesses or the things that you need to do, including getting some sleep.
Yes, just for context, basically this video, you guys will be able to watch it on YouTube later, but we're live streaming this for the members of my book club called The Fellowship. So they're actually watching this live, and some of my members are from the US, and so it's literally the middle of the night for them. To get started, maybe we can talk a little bit about your writing journey. So I think I read somewhere that you actually started out in finance or you still work in finance. So I just want to understand how you made that transition.
Yeah, it's true. I did start out in finance. I'm a trained lawyer. I worked for global investment banks for, I think, close to 23 years. My first degree, though, was in literature, then management and law. And all through it, I think the love of language was always was just internalized in me. I grew up in a very academic, intellectual household. My father was a professor of literature, and it just seeped inside, deep inside. And even when I was, reviewing contracts and regulations, I was also writing poetry all the time. So I consider myself first and foremost a poet. I wrote poetry in Hindi all through my life. But fiction, I began writing seriously since 2016. Ever since, I have been writing fiction both in Hindi and English. The first books that came out were a Hindi short story collection called Japani Sarai. That was in January 2019, and then Daura and Bhaunri, followed by, I believe, Kintsugi, then a Hindi short novel called Nina Auntie. The latest, or the last most recent publication was The Blue Women, which is a short story collection in English. All the English works have been published by HarperCollins. All the Hindi works from Vani Prakashan, and a Hindi short story collection called Belly Dancer, Tatha Anya Kahaniyan, is scheduled to be released later this year.
I also actually work in finance, and I have been entrenched in the literary world since I was a kid. So it's a similar story there, where I feel like my day job is entrenched in numbers, and then I sort of escape into the literary world after. But tell me a little bit about your poetry that you wrote since you were a kid. What inspired you to start writing poems? Yeah, how did that come about when you were younger?
First of all, allow me to say how much I admire you for doing this. Finance is an exhausting field,
Yeah.
and it is very capable of just swallowing you whole,
Yes.
so that you live in the whale's stomach and never see daylight or other
Yeah.
things again.
Yes.
So, my sincere congratulations to you for not allowing that to happen, to cultivate your literary sensibilities, and to remain sort of engaged with the literary world. And anybody who's listening to a conversation, this is what I want to point out too. If you can do it and I can do it, others can do it too. Do
Yes.
not allow your professions, do not allow your careers to define you. Do not allow anything to define you. Leave yourself
Yeah.
undefined. It makes you unlimited.
Yes.
So, yeah, so that's what I wanted to say before answering your question about my poetry. I think I was always somebody who loved language.
Yeah.
And what is the best way of offering your adoration to language than stringing words together and trying to get them to rhyme, fit in a meter? I write poetry very often. I mean, if you see what I post on Instagram,
Yes. Yes.
some, something that has come to my mind, and which is why none of my family follows me, because yeah, they are not, yeah, they are like my younger members of the family tell me it's just embarrassing. But this is how I
Oh
feel. When I see a forest, I when I see a tree, or when I see evenings or mornings, they incite you, they invite you, yeah,
no.
they
Yeah.
speak to you, and you want to respond in the best way possible in human language, which is poetry.
Exactly. No, I have seen your Instagram posts. They are not embarrassing at
Oh,
all.
thank you. I
They
love
are
you for saying
beautiful.
that. You
Yes.
shall be quoted
Yeah.
in family gatherings.
But growing up, who would you say were your literary, I would say, inspirations?
My father taught. My father, Dr. Surendra Upadhyay, was professor in the University of Rajasthan. He was a very fine poet. Uh, I grew up in a household where poetry was quoted over, over meals, and I grew up in, my father would respond to winters with, मुझे बहुत अच्छी लगती हैं सर्दियाँ, कितने दिनों तक थामे रखते हैं फूल अपने रंग. And I was filled with the wonderment that he felt.
Yeah.
So I derived wonderment from his words as much as from the nature itself. My mother, who's a homemaker and was a great lover of literature and stories, she has passed on all her stories to me. In fact, when you said you like my works based in Rajasthan, Daura and Bhaunri,
Yeah.
I feel that my stories are heavily influenced by what she told me about the desert, because I grew up in Jaipur, Shruti. That's
Yeah.
barely
Right.
a desert, right? It's barely. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
city. It's beautiful and it's charming, and but the stories of the desert, the for want of a better term, the genetic memory of the desert, which I feel I possess without actually ever having lived
Yeah.
in the middle of that landscape, is through my mother's stories. So that's how powerful stories are, the stories you hear, the stories that are told you, they become a living landscape for you, so
Yeah.
much so that my recounting of it affected you. That's the kind of power those stories have. So yeah, I would say twin influences, my father and my mother. And then of course books. So I read a lot of Hindi literature, and I read those books, and the language opened up experiences of my own culture and country. I couldn't go to, for example, Bihar and live what Phanishwar Nath Renu, the great Anchalik writer from of Bihar Anchal, wrote in his Parti Parikatha or Mela Anchal. I can never live that experience, but I lived through his words. And I could never dream of becoming a footloose, carefree traveler like a Gale,
Yeah.
but through his poetry, I achieved that. Or through Bhavani Prasad Mishra's experience of forests, I was inspired to go to the forest and try and find his Satpura ke Jangal in every forest I go to. So those are my early literary sort of influences, but also world literature. Read everyone from Alberto Moravia to Nabokov to Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, the Victorian English writers, from Austen to, because
Yeah.
that was the kind of child I was always my nose.
Yeah, that's really lovely. And you can definitely see those influences, specifically when you're talking about like the poetic nature, when you're describing nature, or when you're describing just culture in Rajasthan, you can definitely see those influences in Dora and Bhauri. And so yeah, I want to talk a little bit about both of them. How did you get the idea of writing like sister novellas or sister novels, basically? Like, where did that come from?
I think Dora started with the image of a lush tree in a desert.
Right.
Everything ends, but nothing ends.
That's like the
So
cover as well. On
yes,
yeah.
yes, the
Yes.
tree of life,
Yeah.
Kalpavriksha, it gives you all you want. Unconsciously, as the story sort of unraveled, I began exploring the themes that are closest to my heart, which is literally like people who are marginalized by the system.
Yeah.
The system has marginalized them. They have reduced, taken away their unique power. And that's how Dora's story unfolded. When I finished Dora, I was still in the thrall of that desert landscape. And I thought,
Yeah.
I have not spoken about those nut women enough. The
Yeah.
two women from the nut tribe.
Yeah.
I think the nomadic women are just magnificent. And I'm not romanticizing their existences. Their
Yeah.
existences are very tough.
Right.
They've been exploited by their communities, by sovereigns, by the society, by capitalism, everybody. But I genuinely admire them. I think their independence, their sense of self, their sense of aesthetic.
Yeah.
So I remembered, these Gadia Lahore women whom I had seen, the tribe I had seen while growing up in Jaipur,
Yeah.
and this half seen, half imagined woman, very striking, dusky, cat eyed,
Yes.
who for me represents all womanhood,
Right.
Indian
Yeah.
womanhood. And that's where Bhaunri began. Um, it was not my idea to write twin novellas, they just happened.
Right.
But it
Right.
was very much my publisher and my editor at Harper, Rahul Soni, and Udayan. It was their decision to bring them out. They said these two stories belong together, and let's
Yeah.
just tell them together. Let's just offer them to the reading community together and see how it, how they react to it, how they feel about twin novellas. So
Yeah.
that's the
Right.
writing and publishing both.
Yeah. And it's very interesting what you said. And those are exactly the themes of both Daura and Bhauri that I took away, which is with Daura, it is about marginalized communities, and with Bhauri, it's about fierce, unabashed, unafraid womanhood. But again, what's there in both of these novels is they're rooted deeply in Rajasthani culture, and they're almost like, to me, they feel almost like a folk tale. Like that's how I always describe them when I talk about them. It's like it feels like I'm reading some kind of folk tale. Were there actual things, like were there actual stories that you've taken from the past that have found their way in these two stories? How did that work?
So, first of all, I'm so flattered you think they are folk tales, because I think the most powerful stories are folk tales.
Right.
They all originated with the collective imagination of the
Yeah.
folk, of the
Yeah.
lok, of people in general.
Yeah.
I'm sure Ramayana was a folk tale before it became Valmiki's Ramayana or
Yes.
his Ramcharitmanas. And
Yeah.
I'm certain that Mahabharata started the same way, collection of stories people told each other to keep myths
100%.
alive.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm yeah, very flattered you think that's, but actually none of the stories, neither of the two books, nor none of the folk tales included in those books are actually folk tales. They are all, I imagined them and I told them
Oh,
to
okay.
emphasize, yeah, use them as a device, as a literary device to emphasize um, what I wanted to bring out as themes. So, for example, in Dora, princess who lives in the tree and is the guardian of water almost.
Yes. Oh,
That is,
wow.
yeah,
I
so
honestly thought that might have been some like old folk tale. But that's amazing. Sorry, I interrupted you.
no, this is a conversation. So, so yeah, this was it's not a folk tale. I Every time I try to explain why what I wrote or try to parse the story I wrote, I'm retrofitting, because while I was writing,
Yeah.
this was not the conscious thought, right? But
Yeah.
when I see, when I sort of reflect on that particular story of the princess who lives in a tree, it's a metaphor, an allegory for nature, how trees are the guardian of water, how trees are the guardian of their environment, how
Yeah.
essential they are. You cut it and you lose all sort of natural life, but also human life.
Yeah.
I mean, in the absence of trees, how are we going to survive? Who's going to get the goodness of the sun and the moisture of the rain, and who's going to
Yeah.
nurture the earth, and who's
Right.
going to allow us to live on this planet? So that folk tale was just those are the sort of motives that are used to
Yes.
emphasize the fact that nature is nurtured through the feminine spirits, through the womanly sensibilities of nurturing, of almost conserving, using with consciousness of frugality. You use the resource, but you don't abuse it. You don't
Yeah.
squander it. So naturally, the guardian of nature should be
A
uh,
woman.
so
Yeah.
that's
Yes. Can you talk me through a little bit about the world building of Dora? Because I think like you you managed to marry this folk tale part with actual like very real life events or consequences, specifically when it comes to the marginalized communities and how capitalism and just corrupt bureaucratic practices affect them. How did you sort of blend these two worlds, especially the character of the Sarangia?
I think from a craft perspective, what I tried to do was, there's a real landscape.
Yeah.
Thar, the desert, is a real landscape. And there is a reality bureaucracy and the nomadic tribes.
Yes.
When I put all of them together, I see how it leads to a certain feeling of hopelessness. There's this vast desert which we do not try to understand as a biome, as a living environment. We just view it.
Yeah.
It's something to be exploited or neglected, one
Correct.
or the other.
Yeah.
So, and then there are these people who actually are the true owners of the desert, right? The
Yes.
nomads.
Yeah.
Nobody knows the desert like they do,
Yeah.
not even the scientists.
Yeah.
So you see this marginalized landscape and this marginalized community,
Yeah.
and the overlay of the government structure, bureaucracy,
Yeah.
and it makes for hopelessness. So then, when I imagine a world where these are all protected and they all
Right.
come to fruition, they all attain fullness,
Yeah.
then that's the imaginary, the utopian world.
Correct.
So I imagine those two worlds and then I interleave them.
Right.
So the reality is maintained,
Yeah.
but it's broken by the
Right.
by the relief of an imaginary world. So
Right.
this, I'm like I said, I'm retrofitting what I did intuitively during the writing
Yeah.
process, but that is what I was trying to achieve,
Yeah.
to have the reality for everybody to, and in fact for me to absorb. This
Yeah.
is reality. This is what we have done. This is how we understand our own land, and the people who inhabit that, who have inhabited that land much longer than the cities.
Um, have you ever considered translating both Daura and Bhauri into Hindi? Because I just feel like because you write poetry in Hindi, as you said, have you ever considered making it, I don't know, some kind of poetic Hindi piece or any other regional language?
How I wish I knew other regional
Yeah.
languages. I don't. Unfortunately, I only have fluency in two. But whilst I haven't really considered translating these two, I have, and I'm still at work on a more ambitious Hindi project where I tell the story of Thar from a completely different angle,
Right.
and
Right.
try um, to try to sort of underline the themes that remain my central concern all through my through my writing, the running strand, which is nature, environment, and how we treat these natural elements. So I'm actually at work on a bigger Hindi piece, which is located in Thar, and anybody who has sort of facility in reading Hindi, and I hope everybody would give it a chance if
Yeah,
that's the language you've learned at any point, because more languages means better understanding. It just means being
definitely.
able to express yourself better. It just makes you overall more sensitive. More languages
Yeah,
induce more ways to express that sensibility. I do hope you guys will give it a chance when it's ready and comes out. But yeah,
yeah.
I don't think I've told the story of Thar yet. So
Right.
I'm making more attempts.
Okay, moving on to Bhauri. Can you tell me a little bit about how you came up with this character? Because she is unlike any other female main character that I have read in books. And I've read quite a few where like the main character is kind of unlikable, but Bhauri, I feel is just very, very different in the way she's described.
So it literally started with the image of this striking nomadic woman. I still
Yeah,
believe I saw her, but I know how unreliable memories are. So it's
right.
entirely possible I imagined. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, that ambiguity of what's real, what's imaginary, where things
Yes.
come from. You know, my favorite couplet, I quote it everywhere, is गालिब शेर आते हैं गैब से ये मज़ामी ख़याल में गालिब
Yeah.
सरीर खामा नवाए सरोश है. It's, where do these topics come from? They come from a realm we cannot access. It's ghaib. It's like outer, beyond us.
Yeah.
And once we receive them as medium, the sound of the pen on paper is like heavenly music. It's like, the story tells itself, and you just sit
Yeah.
there and allow it to go. But of
Yeah.
course, this is oversimplification. And all of us, I feel, as a serious writer, I have a duty to also delve into my own motivations. Why am I telling this story and no other?
Yes.
Why is Bhauri like that? Why is Bhauri a person um, who reacts in that
Yeah.
violent way? Where do these drivers of dysfunction, for want of a
Yeah.
better term, emerge from? Where do
Yeah.
they emerge from? So I think body is my way of responding to the violence that occurs, that is wrought on women all around
Yeah.
the world. In
Yeah.
the name of love, in the name of culture, in the name of religion, in the name of duty,
Yeah.
um, in the name of God, and in the name of devil. Because remember, women were burnt on stake as witches too. So
Yeah.
it's amazing. We women are sacrificed to God as objects of beauty, but they are also inhabited by the devil. Oh,
Yeah.
they also need to be covered up entirely because
Yeah.
their bodies are enticing, but also they should be uncovered so men can be enticed. All these
Yeah.
contradictions, the politics that is women's bodies and minds,
Yeah.
their wombs, their very existence, they are all, they all force women to either adapt and suppress themselves
Yeah.
or adopt other ways
Yeah.
that may or may not align with their intrinsic nature. A woman might actually be a quiet person. They actually might want to, be allowed to exist without having to fight for everything, to strive, to push, just
Yeah.
to be allowed to exist. I'm not talking about like trying to get ahead in the world. For
Yeah.
that, we drive. I'm just saying, in order to be.
Yeah. Just survive and like actually just be, just
Yeah.
exist.
I think all these factors that frankly hem in a woman,
Yeah.
but also define her,
Yeah.
right? So, like everything else, the contradiction, right? All these so so all these influences, I was trying to push against. I
Yeah.
was trying to say a woman can love her husband in that way,
Yeah.
not another man,
Yeah.
not a romantic fantasy,
Yeah.
but a man she's wedded to.
Yeah.
She can love him with that degree of passion and
Yeah.
force,
Yeah.
and have the same kind of possessive instincts.
Yeah. Yeah.
as men. So when we turn the tables, how does it feel?
Yeah.
See, Bhauri was almost like a provocative question I was asking all of us,
Yeah.
all men, women, everybody.
I think the first time I've read Bhauri like more than once. The first time when I read it, to what I took out, like the lesson or like moral that I took out of it was like, when you take love too far, can it become dangerous? But the second time when I read it, I felt like that interpretation was a little bit simplistic because here it's almost like this is how men usually say they love you to control you, to be possessive, to be jealous, to be whatever. And now it's a woman who's doing that. And so now do you think it's suddenly dangerous just because you see a woman doing it? Now do you think love has gone too far? Now do you think that, this is not right, this needs to change? And is it just because a woman has done it? Like that's how I thought about it the second time that I read it. And so I want to talk to you about like how did you approach like the violence in this book while still keeping like Bhauri's, I would say, like, I don't know, her agency still intact? Because like, again, spoiler alert for people, but like Bhauri's husband cheats on her constantly. um and she has to deal with a lot in her like married life as well. So you can kind of understand her violence. um but I guess maybe not agency, but how did you keep like her relatable, slightly likable, but also like where you can understand what she's doing and why she's doing it? I don't know, because she's a very complicated character.
I don't think I wanted or consciously shaped Bhauri as a character for whom you would feel sympathy or empathy. I not
Right.
consciously, but
Right.
as women, as a woman, how would I respond to a woman like that? I
Yeah.
would understand her too. I
Yeah.
would say, I see you. I may or may not approve of what you did. I
Yeah.
may or may not choose the same ways if I'm faced with those
Yeah.
situations, those circumstances or those choices. But do I understand? Yes, yes, you play with the cards you are dealt.
Yeah.
You cannot have, the celestial deck is dealing you cards. This is
Yeah.
your share. You Either you are a strong player and you play the game,
Yeah.
which unfortunately is not defined by you. The rules are not yours. The rules are the men's rules.
Yeah.
Or you choose to throw your hand down and be a nobody.
Yeah.
So I can understand Bhori, but I have seen men responding to the character, and that's not a response that is empathetic at all. They find her dangerous.
Yeah. I can
I
I can totally imagine that.
have been asked, like, do you like, are you a violent person? I am a pacifist. I wouldn't hurt a
Yeah.
fly. I talk to trees and
Yeah.
I talk to snails. I am an utter lover of life at every
Yeah.
level. No, I'm not a violent person. But yeah, I mean, don't look at me when you read my characters. This is not who I am. This is who they are.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think I view Bhauri as a person who has some inner strength. She has inner
Yeah.
strength. She wants to be herself, and she wants to protect her dignity.
Yeah.
Love is tied deeply to her sense of self, to her sense of respect for her own self.
Yeah.
So that's the agency that you were referring to, because she
Yeah.
wants to preserve that, right?
Yeah.
She does not.
Exactly.
So neither the love nor the violence can sweep Bhori away,
Yeah.
because she has the staying power of a real
Correct.
person, a whole
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
So that was, that was first and foremost in my mind. And whilst I sort of did not think in terms of, oh well, Bhoni should do this to preserve it. I knew she would do stuff to
Yeah.
preserve her.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I guess
Yeah.
that's how I saw Bhoni.
Exactly. I want to ask you about what's next. Now, both of these books, Daura and Bhauri, and I haven't read Kintsugi, but I will definitely check it out. But at least Daura and Bhauri, along with being like folk tales, they focus on very important themes, which we have spoken about. Um, are there any other themes that you would like to explore in your books? I know you spoke about the Thar Desert that you're writing about, but are there any specific themes that you want to focus in your books that you are planning to write?
Um, so the way my writing works is, I start writing and I discover, oh, this is what it is about.
Right.
So it's as much a discovery process for me while writing it as I hope it's a discovery process for the reader while reading it. So
Yeah.
The Hindi work is about Thar and its unique environment and the unique issues that it faces, that it has historically faced, and that have unfortunately not changed the fact that science is ignored, um, when when the desert as a biome is under attack. The fact that the people who inhabit the desert and therefore know it much better than anybody else, their views are ignored. So that kind of situation juxtaposed with, I mean, very crude description this, but
Yeah.
the startup capitalism that looks at
Yes.
everything to be
Yeah.
milked to the last point, and does not care, burn everything,
Yeah.
and just move on. The the oldest form of violence, the the most ancient primal form of violence that humans brought to nature. You exploit, then you set the field on fire, you move on to the next.
Yeah.
That kind of approach is at the center of my Hindi work. My English work interest, and I'm also, I mean, I simultaneously work on many
Yeah.
things because, like all of us, I need things to interest me.
Yes.
So my English work, um, which is a novel, full length, uh, it is focused on. It is located in Bombay,
Yeah.
a city. Like I said, it's not my adopted home, and I look upon it with the same kind of curiosity and awe as, I don't know, a peasant would have looked upon Beijing, the Forbidden City.
Right.
You don't understand how it works.
Yeah.
You don't understand how the gears keep on, churning, moving.
Yeah.
How does this whole contraption of our city, with its inherent inequalities, with its
Yeah.
apparent contradictions, how
Yeah.
does it work?
Yeah.
So this
I would
is
be very interested in this book.
okay, that's coming your way, Shruti.
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, that's what I'm trying to, and I've located it in a locality of Bombay, which you and I know, and people from Bombay know. There's no one Bombay.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
For
no
sure.
one city.
For
It's a
sure.
series of villages. Some are more village-like, some are more city-like, but
Yeah.
we live in this archipelago of villages, right?
Yeah.
So this one's a real village, Banganga. It's
Right. Yeah.
yeah, it's very close to my home, very close to my heart. It's has always intrigued me, and I would be very sad when that neighborhood is finally lost, because lost it will be. There is no way that a village can live in the heart, that kind of village,
Yeah.
live in the heart of a very expensive city. So this is my love letter to Banganga, and also my attempt to understand how our city works, and another attempt at understanding the female sisterhood, which is one of my sort of central concerns.
Right.
I strongly believe in our sisterhood. I strongly believe that you and I may disagree, but we are tied together through a common thread of experiences, through a common set of concerns, through a common desire to preserve and protect and nurture that is deeper than our skin, that's deeper than our consciousness, that's deeper than our nurture. It lives in our genes, and therefore our sisterhood is the most important thing. And I'm saying this to anybody who's listening. to this to our conversation, I'm always here for women. I'm also here for men. I'm not, I'm not a promoter of animosity between the genders. It does not make sense. We have
Yeah.
to live together. We have to, just like we have to live together with our with the nature. We have to live together with our counterparts.
Yeah.
But specifically for women, my social media handles are always open. I am always accessible. If anybody wants me to read their work, if anybody wants any advice, I'm here because I have this deep conviction in standing together. So that's another theme I've tried to address with my English work, which, by the way, you have just now committed yourself to
Yes.
reading in.
Yes. Well, I think
Okay.
that's a really, really good place to end this conversation. Thank you so much, Anukriti, for joining me and joining us on this channel. It's been really, really enlightening, and yeah, really looking forward to the rest of your work that is yet to be published.
Thank you very much for having me, Shruti. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. All the best to you in life and your work.
Thank you.